Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I have an interesting video for you. Today I want to talk about Alone. I want to talk about Season 3. And I want to talk about Episode 7. So if you haven't seen that episode, I highly recommend that you turn this video off. It will contain a lot of spoilers. Let's go ahead and get started. There's a quote on the screen. It says, "If you don't hunt it down and kill it, it will hunt you down and kill you." Flannery O'Connor. Let's start. We're on day 51, 5:16 in the morning. We have 6 people left. We're talking about Greg. He's freezing. He's trying to get his hands warm over the fire, and the rain keeps putting the fire out. He can't wait for the sun to come up and warm things up. So he needs to dry his sleeping bag. His sleeping bag was wet. He shivered all night long, and he can't get warm for anything. He can't stay dry because of the rain, and his clothes are wet. And he says that he has hypothermia. Man, I feel for him. I really do. That's a tough situation that he's in. And then there's an annotation on the screen. It says, "As hypothermia sets in, your core temperature drops and your vital organ functions begin to fail." And he said it's really tough. Like a cold rain, he said. He can't move his hands. They're almost to the point of being numb. He said he's struggling. Every time he stands up, he feels like he's going to pass out, he said. He's getting really weak and his feet are frozen. He says he's almost hallucinating. It's getting really bad. And this is scaring him. Scaring him pretty bad. This has been going on for a while with him. Then another annotation comes on the screen, and it says hypothermia symptoms include hallucination, weakness, and slow reflexes. And then the next thing you see on the show is there's a shot of him. It shows him sitting by a tree, and by his right hand on the ground is his radio. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, please don't be quitting. And he does. He taps. This was around 10 o'clock a.m. Again, it was on day 51. Oh my, you know, and he says, and I'm quoting him, he says, "I'm sorry, Jeanette. I feel awful. All I wanted was to build you a house." Jeanette's his daughter. "This was my retirement. And now all I have to look forward to is going back and doing drywall again. That's my future now. I have a great sense of relief in a way, but a great disappointment. It's making me cry right now that I just physically couldn't do this." He looks really sad. I feel for him. Hypothermia is no joke. And he said hypothermia set in, and he hadn't had any fish for over a week. And then there was one more big quote that he said, and I'll read that to you. I wrote it down on my notes. And he says, "Once you have hypothermia to the point where your choices and decisions are becoming bad, you're in danger. I think all week I've been making bad decisions because of my state of mind. Moving in the rain was a bad choice, and that's what did me in. That's why I made the call, because if I didn't, my mind would trick me into staying, and I probably wouldn't be here today if I tried to go another night in these conditions. I can't even explain the devastation. That was my retirement. That was a house for my daughter. I don't even know how to go about telling her. It's a big disappointment, but somehow a person has to carry on. That's part of being a survivalist. And then it shows a boat. Now, I liked Greg. I thought that he had the potential to win the show. And I'm going to say something right now, and I'll probably repeat it at the end of this video. And that is, please check the description box down below, because there's a GoFundMe account for him. They're trying to raise $100,000 as their target, and you can donate money to Greg if you'd wish. You know, the guy gave us 51 days of excellent television. He gave everything he had. He lost weight. He suffered so much, went through so many adversities out there. I think you guys need to take a look and maybe donate some money. Let's help this guy out. You know, I want to say another thing. Everybody that's on this show, whether they did good, bad, whether they made it all the way or quit on day one, they're all people. They all have feelings. They all have good days, bad days. They all have problems. They all have success. They all have everything. They're not just faces on a show. These are real people that we're talking about. So if you want to help him out, please, again, check the description box. I'll put his GoFundMe down there. Let's move forward. 5 people left. Day 51. 12:41. Talking about Callie. The opening shot shows a log with frost on it. It looks really cold outside, and she's worried about the spider bite that's infected on her bum, as she likes to put it. So she went around and said all of her goodbyes, gave gratitude to everything. And I'm quoting her now. She says, "I was in a lot of pain and had infection in my glands, and I suffered that." Then there's an annotation on the screen. It says, "Callie's bites resemble those of a Chilean recluse, a highly venomous spider found in South America." I'm quoting her again. She says, "I'm struggling, but I'm not so ready to go home. It's crazy. My journey is not over here on so many levels." Wow, I've got a ton of respect for her. She is a trooper. There's another annotation on the screen, and it says, "The open sore left from a Chilean recluse bite can take years to fully heal, leaving deep scars." Now, I don't know about the Chilean recluse, but my mother got bit by a brown recluse spider in Arizona when I was a kid, and it did a lot of tissue damage. Now, I'm quoting her again. "Callie, it's not time for me to go. There's so much more work to do." So she decides to make another poultice. There's an annotation on the screen. It says, "Poultice wraps have been used to treat infections all over the world for centuries." And then she's using, making a strong pot of Usnea. I hope I'm saying that right. And then there's another annotation on the screen, and it says, "Usnea, also known as old man's beard, is a lichen, I hope I'm saying that right, that grows on trees." She says she's upping her herbal game, and she says she'll see if it helps her internal infection. She'll sleep on it and see how it is in the morning. And she says, "I'm gonna go big or I'm gonna go home." Let's move forward. Day 52. 5 people left. 9:33 in the morning. We're talking about Fowler. First thing I got to say about Fowler is I didn't have a lot of faith in him in the beginning. I got to admit that. But the more I see him and the more the show goes on and the longer the show goes on, the more I'm liking this guy. This guy is awesome. He moved to his new shelter. I really like his shelter. It's cool. He made a shelf out of bamboo. Really nice little shelf. And then there's an annotation on the screen. It says bamboo construction traces its history to 12,000 BC in China. And then Fowler says that he wants more than fish head soup. And he saw a bird on the game cam. And then there's an annotation that says each participant placed motion activated cameras around their shelters. Now personally, I'd like to know what kind of game cameras they're using, who the manufacturer is, what model, because I might like to get one for myself. Now let's go back to Fowler. His goal is to get that bird for dinner. He hasn't had anything but fish to eat. He's trying with his slingshot, says he's not so sure that a bird has as much meat as a fish, but he intends to get him before he leaves. He's dead set on this bird. Even if it's the biggest land game that he gets the whole time he's there, he's gonna get this bird. He decides to build a bird trap. I thought that was smart. The same trap that I like to use. And it's the same trap that I showed in my official season 4 casting video. That same trap. Except he made his out of bamboo. And it looks really nice. A lot cleaner job than the one I did. And then there's an annotation on the screen. And it says this is a Arapuca bird trap. I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was called. Which is originally used by the Guarani people of South America. So back to Fowler, he's excited. And he says he wished he would have made a trap like this from the beginning. He sets the trap and he sees the bird go inside. Now I noticed something when he showed that shot that he filmed. And that was he had some sort of string attachment to the trigger, and it looked like to me like a Paiute deadfall type trigger for this bird trap. And I use a split stick trigger. So I reached out to him and I asked him about the trigger, and he got back with me and he said that this was a split stick with a toggle on a piece of string. So I know what he's talking about. Let's move forward. Day 52. 3:03 in the afternoon. We're talking about Fowler. 5 people left. The bird goes in the trap, eats the bait, and leaves. How frustrating is that? And I can tell you, you know, I can't sit here and tell you how many times I've had that happen to me. You got to stay patient. He says, I'll figure it out. Bird is on the menu, and one of these days, I'm going to get me some bird. I'm telling you, he says. Gotta love Fowler. He's not going to quit. So let's move forward. Day 53, 9:18 in the morning. 5 people left. We're talking about Carly. First thing I notice is her shelter. There's a good view of it. Beautiful shelter. I really like it. She's singing happy birthday to me. Today she's 29 years old. Birthday gift to herself is to go for a walk and try to find something to eat. Now I'm going to quote her. She says, my awareness of edible plants started at a young age and has evolved. I like to be able to provide for my own needs. And then she found some dandelions, and boy, those are tart if you ever ate them. They're pretty sour tasting. And there's an annotation on the screen, and it says eating dandelions can boost the immune system, help maintain bone density, and detoxify the liver. And the thing about dandelions is you can eat any part of the plant. You can eat the stem, the roots, the petals of the leaves, the flowers, everything. You can eat it all. And back to Carly. I'm quoting her again. She says, and I'm here in unfamiliar country. I'm here in South America, and I'm finding plants that I know from back at home. She found a nettle There's an annotation on the screen. It says stinging nettle is rich in iron, potassium, and vitamins A and K. It also acts as an anti-inflammatory to reduce pain. So she brings some back to the camp to cook. And she says she's going to make a green soup, as she calls it. There's another annotation on the screen, and it says stinging nettles lose their ability to sting when they're cooked, which brings up a thought of mine, and that is like the dandelions. I talked about that earlier, how they're kind of bitter tasting. If you're going to find dandelions and you want to eat them, you want to consume them, if you boil them, it makes them a lot less, a lot easier to eat, I guess you could say. Now, this next part that I'm going to tell you is a quote from Carly, and she's very smart in this quote, so please pay attention here. To me, the difference between living and survival is an attitude. Living is about enjoying the moment, and surviving is about getting through that moment. I want to continue living day by day to many more great days here in Patagonia. That's smart if you think about that. So if you want to rewind and listen to that again, she's smart. Let's move forward. Day 54, 5 people left, 6:27 in the morning. We're talking about Megan. We haven't seen her in a while. I wonder what she's been up to. She's been noticing something around her shelter at night. She checked her trail cam and saw that it was a fox. She doesn't want to get bit because of rabies. And she said that rabies, when you get a rabies bite, she said that it doesn't show symptoms until it's too late. Now there's an annotation on the screen, and it says foxes are among the most common carriers of rabies. She said the max sleep that she's had in a given week or a given moment has been about 4 hours at a time because of this fox. Again, another annotation on the screen. It said foxes are reclusive animals that tend to use their night vision to hunt in the dark. Now Megan is trying to get the fox in a spring-loaded hanging snare. She decided to make one. It was really cool. She says that foxes are sensitive to smell, so she's going to put her gloves on to prevent or minimize her scent on the cordage. Real smart. She doesn't want the fox to smell it. Now there's an annotation, and it says foxes have an olfactory mucous membrane that is 24 times larger than that of humans. Now she's going to use paracord because she thinks the fox is around 40 pounds. There's another annotation on the screen. It said this is a cupillo or Andean fox, which is the largest species of fox in South America. And now back to Megan. She said if the fox comes into her shelter, it's either her or it, because she's not wanting to get bit. She said it's been digging around because it's hungry. Another annotation on the screen, it says foxes dig shallow holes when they're hunting for rodents. They can hear underground. So she sets her trap, and it looks nice. And I'm thinking, as I'm watching the show, I'm thinking it's going to be effective. Let's move forward. Day 55. 5 people left, 9:17. Still talking about Megan. She did not make a permanent shelter, I noticed. Looks like she has a ridge pole with a tarp over it, an A-frame structure. To me, it looks like a cold shelter. She put her hooks for fishing in the water with no bait on them. She said there's no bait. And when she was doing that, she found some fox poop, excuse me, where she's been fishing. Then there's another annotation on the screen, and it says foxes leave feces in highly visible areas to mark territory that they visit often. She checks her trap and it was all chewed up. She catches a good shot of that fox on camera, and if I remember correctly, it was like over her left shoulder kind of area. Let's move forward. We're still on day 55, 11:04, 5 people left. Megan. She saw it during broad daylight, the fox. Another annotation on the screen, it says foxes are opportunistic hunters that will feed during the day if the moment presents itself. 10:55 at night. Megan, day 55. She hears the fox, and so she hits her tarp, and the fox runs. Fox is really hungry. She says she's not going to open the door and get bit. She's not a big fan of rabies. And then another annotation says a rabid fox will be usually bold and aggressive. So again, I mentioned it a second ago. She bangs on the tarp, the fox runs away. She said she might stay up all night, and she's concerned that it will come and bite her. Let's move forward. Day 56. 5 people left. 7:16 in the morning. And there's something special about this day. Day 56. That was how many days season 1 was. Now the fox is back, sniffing, digging. Then she has an emotional time. She misses her family deeply. Wonders if the trade-off of being there is worth it. That's what I'm thinking that her emotional thing is right now. I'm thinking that's what she's thinking. And I've said this all along about her. I think that's going to be what brings her down. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to her or anything like that. I just think that she's a very loving person, loves her family, misses them dearly. I think that will get her. I don't know. I could be wrong. Now let's move forward. We're still on 56 days, 10:39 in the morning, 5 people left. Talking about Fowler. Now you remember he made a rake? Well, he's using his rake to clean the yard, and he's packed up. He's got his pack, and he's going to head down to check on his fishing situation. He decides to check the bird trap on the way. Guess what? He got the bird. So he takes his coat and he puts it over the trap. Very smart. He uses it to cover the trap. And then he sticks his hand in there and he gets the bird, pulls the bird out, snaps the neck right away. You could tell this dude's done this before. Very efficient. I would do something very similar. It's a beautiful bird. He shows a shot of the bird. Small bird, but it's a beautiful bird. There's an annotation on the screen and it says this is Chuco trapulo, which is known for loud vocalizations. So Fowler plucks the bird. He says he's going to have a nice bit of soup tonight. Now I noticed the bird was small, but man, it looks tasty. It looked tasty to me, and I could only imagine what it looks like to Fowler out there, you know, day 56. It's probably looking like a big old juicy steak to him. Now there's an annotation on the screen and it says a bird this size contains approximately 20 calories. So Fowler decides he's going to harvest everything. Nothing is going to go to waste. This includes the head, the heart, the liver. He says it tastes like chicken. Can't wait to be back with my family. I knew I would miss them, but I never imagined it would be pulling at me this strongly. Let's move forward. Day 57. 5 people left. 10:12 in the morning. We're talking about Callie. She's been working on her spider bite, and she decides to check it. And guess what? It's working. I'm proud of her, honestly. And I'm going to share some of my thoughts with you right quick. Medicinal plants, they work slow. But they do work. And she said that too. She's blown me away. And she's blown away herself. She said, I was this close to tapping tapping out, but just felt that it wasn't time. It wasn't right. And she feels like she was given a second chance. I'll tell you what, mad respect for Callie from me. I mean, this girl is tough. Look, excuse me, let's move forward. Day 59. 2 days later, day 59. 11:09, we're talking about Dave. There's 5 people left. He's got his bow out and he's practicing shooting, and he's gonna go hunt for a boar, I think. He decides to get some snares with the wire. There's an annotation on the screen. It says participants are allowed to use any found items, including this wire Dave uncovered. So he sets 2 snare traps. Moving forward, day 59, 4:30 in the afternoon. Carly, 5 people left. She's in her shelter. This is really cool. She's in her shelter, filming out the door of her shelter, and she sees a deer. A deer! I'm like, what? This is the shot that I was talking about in the last episode. Now an annotation comes on the screen. It said this is a huemul deer, hope I'm pronouncing that right, which can be identified by its short legs and large ears. Now Carly says, whoa, this deer just came up my path, but unfortunately it's one that's not huntable. Annotation on the screen, due to habitat loss, hunting, and predators, this deer is an endangered species. And Carly says that would have been a lot of good eating right there. This is a bummer. I really like her. I like her personality. She's so quiet and real kind of timid, very humble person. I love her personality. Now she has a hole in her glove and she decides she's going to try to make some glue to repair it. So she finds a spruce tree. Now for those of you who've ever seen spruce trees, they got these little, looks like little boils, and if you take your fingernail or a stick or a rock or something and you push on those, sap will come out. And that's what she's doing. There's an annotation on the screen and it says pitch glue is a paste made from melted pine tree pitch. And then Carly explains the same thing I just said. She said these blisters are a tree's ways of protecting them from itself from pests. Actually, that was an annotation. My apology. These blisters are a tree's way of protecting itself from the pests. Now back to Carly. She mixes the sap with ash and repairs her glove. Another annotation comes on the screen and it says early Native Americans used pine pitch to secure sharpened stones to the ends of arrows. Wow. Let's move forward. We're getting into the deep water on this show, folks. We're on day 60. 2 months. Just take a minute and think about that. 2 months. 11:07, Callie. 5 people left. She has a mouse in her shelter. And she says, we were seriously warned. If you have a mouse in your house, you need to get rid of it or move. And she says, no way is she going to move. You know, she spent so much time and so much energy working on this beautiful shelter with the hearth and hauling all them rocks, and she ain't moving. No MFing way, she said. Cracks me up. Then the annotation comes on the screen and it says, hantavirus is a rodent-carried disease that can be fatal when passed to humans. Now, Callie said she felt it run across her sleeping bag while she was lying there awake. She's going to make a trap and catch this mouse, hopefully. So she decides to make a figure 4 deadfall trap. I was excited for her. I'm like, yeah. And she's pissed about this mouse. Moving forward, day 61. 5 people left, 4:27 in the morning, Callie. She's in her sleeping bag. She hears the mouse. An annotation comes on the screen and it says hantavirus is transmitted to people when they breathe air contaminated by infected mouse droppings or urine. Boom, the deadfall goes off. 4:34 in the morning. Day 61, Callie got the mouse. She's happy. My thoughts here for a second. I'm impressed. Big time. You saw my casting video, you saw my deadfall figure 4. I'm impressed because to make a figure 4 deadfall with a hair trigger like that, that's light enough to trigger when a mouse steps on it, that's pretty amazing. It's a very difficult thing to do in my opinion. Moving forward, 10:43 in the morning, 61, we're still talking about Callie. She's gonna remove the mouse now, and he was a fat little mouse. So she uses sticks to move him. She's not gonna touch it. Annotation on the screen, it says early symptoms of hantavirus include muscle aches, dizziness, and vomiting. Let's move forward. Day 61, 13:31, so it's 1:31 in the afternoon. Dave, 5 people left. He's looking at the camera again. My thoughts, he loves this camera thing. And honestly, there's a couple things I want to talk about real quick. Callie, and then I'll come back to Dave. Callie, she had the spider bite. That's something that kept her busy, kept her going, kept her mind occupied on something. And I think that's why she's able to stretch it out so long. Now back to Dave. This camera thing, he's sitting here looking at it and all kinds of angles, and I think that's something that's been entertaining him, just like Callie unfortunately had to entertain the spider bite. Dave's entertaining the camera. These are things that are keeping these people motivated away from other things, away from thinking about things. They're just staying busy doing what they're doing. And I think it's helping him. And he starts off by showing his beard, and he's talking about gray hair. And he says, these streaks of gray, they show wisdom. He's showing his beard. He's getting like real close too. He's like this. He's like these. Cracks me up. I love this guy. So then I think I'm getting gray hair too, almost as much as him, if not more. He's 49. I'm gonna be 42 in June. So so he's making tea. And then an annotation comes on the screen and it says Dave is adding wild strawberry leaves to his tea, which are full of vitamin C and antioxidants. So he decides to go check his snares. Nothing yet. He finds a nice natural blind type area, which will be good for hunting, and he can get a shot off with his bow from 3 different directions. I think this is super cool. I think it could get exciting. So he gets his good bow and he waits. Annotation comes on the screen and it says early bows were made of natural materials like whalebone, horn, or wood. He talks about, now this next part hits home with me. He talks about how he likes being alone. He said this morning he was thinking about his biological father, left when he was 4. And how does that hurt his son, he says. You know, how do you hurt your son when you leave your kid, is what he's saying. He was the kid. You know, I went through something similar. He said he went from New York all the way to California. Yes, and I'm quoting him, yes, I think I have some bitterness still. For the longest time, I thought, well, that's why I'm not in a relationship. I started realizing that that's not why I'm not in a relationship. I haven't found someone I want to spend time with more than myself. And then he hears something and he says, "What's that?" Moving forward, 3:29 in the afternoon, day 61, 5 people left. We're still talking about Dave. He says, "I wonder if my trap got set." So he takes his bow. He decides to go check the trap. There's an annotation on the screen that says, "In order for wild boar to regulate body temperature in the winter, they're most active in the daytime." Now Dave's excited of the possibility of having an animal to eat. His heart's beating fast. Annotation comes on the screen. It says wild boar can weigh over 400 pounds. They can run up to 30 miles an hour and jump 3 feet off the ground. Wild boar have extremely powerful jaw muscles capable of crushing bone. That's pretty hardcore. So Dave says if he catches one in his trap, he'll shoot it with his bow. He's excited now, but he's kind of worked up. He sees all kinds of activity around his snare area where his traps were, and an annotation comes on the screen. It says, "A boar's keen sense of smell allows it to locate food underground." That's why they root. Pigs do that too. Now, his trail camera, this is him again, was knocked over, he noticed. So he looks at the footage. Sure enough, it was a boar. And that, my friends, is the end of this episode. Now at the end it gives us kind of a sneak peek of things to come, and it talks, you know, we're down to 5 people left. And the upcoming, first thing it shows is Callie, and it shows snow is falling and she has on all her layers to stay warm. Then it shows Dave, and he says snow, and he's yelling. The colder it gets, the less fish stay towards the shore. "I've lost a lot of muscle since I've been here," he says. Carly, and I'm quoting her, "Be really awesome if I could catch a goose." And there's a little bit of footage of some geese. "I want to sneak down there and try to catch one. I have 2 throws." Fowler, and I'm quoting him also, "When you're out here by yourself, you think about family, and the pull to be with them is so hard." Could we be seeing Fowler maybe end his journey? I don't know. I have a lot of faith, you know, but we didn't see nothing from Megan, which makes me wonder, what is she doing? Callie, Carla, Fowler, Dave, they're all out there putting in work, filming. I don't know what Megan's doing. I'm interested to find out. Could she be the sleeper? The one that's sitting, sleeping all day, gonna sleep her way to success maybe while everybody else struggles? Is that why there's no footage? Or not much footage? Is she having issues with the fox? What's going on? I want to know. So folks, I want to say thank you for joining me today on this video, Season 3, Episode 7 of Alone. Once again, if you want to help Greg out, please check the description box down below for his GoFundMe link. And by all means, folks, please donate. Help this man. He's going through a hard time. He gave us 51 days of his life. He gave everything. He lost weight. He gave us a lot to help him out. Hope you got some useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. Like this video. Share this video. If you like the content that you see on my channel, please subscribe. Once again, please thumbs up this video if you like it. It helps me out. And if you haven't seen my official Season 4 Alone casting video, please check my Season 3 Alone playlist. You will find it there. Thanks for watching. Have a beautiful day.